Story number 1. My wife 30 to female of 12 years doesn't want sex and now blames it on needing to heal from me getting snipped. My wife and I 35 male have been in somewhat of a dead bedroom situation for the past few years, maybe once per month if we're lucky. Wife is a stay-at-home mom we have for kids, and I work full-time in a busy profession. When we first got married, we were both very much on the same page in terms of intimacy, and our sex was frequent 3 to 5 times or more per week and amazing. We would both initiate as opposed to predominantly being one of us too. Now, if I don't initiate, it literally never happens. Yet, I get turned down all of the time because my wife isn't in the mood, even if I'm extra flirty that day and drop hints, touch her throughout the day, etc., to try to build anticipation for it. Things took a turn for the worse earlier this year. I got snipped, and to make a long story short, my wife and I had talked about doing this for years, but my wife had regrets after I didn't actual procedure and now says she can't imagine having sex again because she is grieving. I want to respect her space, but why would she need to grieve that I got a vasectomy that we both agreed to, not that she needed to agree, since it's my body? It feels like she already didn't want to have sex and is now using this as a convenient excuse to have a more legitimate reason for turning me down. It's been a few months and she still won't have sex with me, and I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering whether it's worth ending our marriage because of this. My wife refuses to do therapy or couples counseling because she's not comfortable opening up to people, which is extremely disappointing because I think we would benefit greatly from that and think we at least owe our kids that before potentially calling our marriage quits. Sex is very important to me, and I just can't live without it anymore. I keep myself in great shape, especially considering how much I work, and have always done so to make myself as attractive as possible for my wife, and more importantly, I try to make her happy and give her attention. But that effort isn't reciprocated at all, and the desire for sex isn't reciprocated either. Don't want to cheat, since what kind of a role model would I be for our kids if I did that? Plus, I morally disagree with it. Am I in the wrong or crazy for wanting to potentially call it quits? Is this a legitimate reason? It would be a messy divorce, but I get the sense that I deserve better than this, and I am sick of slaving away while my wife stays home with the kids and getting absolutely nothing out of our relationship in terms of intimacy. Story number 2. Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to split the hotel cost after she invited her friends without telling me? So, I recently took my girlfriend, Emily, on a weekend trip to a popular beach town. I booked a nice hotel room for us to enjoy a romantic getaway. Everything was great until the second night when Emily invited her to friends Laura and Kate to hang out with us. She didn't tell me they were coming, and I was a bit surprised but went along with it. Things got even more awkward when they decided to crash in our hotel room because they didn't want to pay for their own. I was annoyed but didn't want to cause a scene. The room was cramped with 4 people, and it definitely wasn't the romantic getaway I had planned. The next morning, I told Emily I wasn't comfortable with her friends staying for free and that I felt they should chip in for the room. Emily got defensive and said it was rude to ask them for money since they're her friends. I argued that it was unfair for me to cover the entire cost when I only planned for the 2 of us, and she invited them without consulting me. Emily eventually asked Laura and Kate if they could help with the cost. They were taken aback but agreed reluctantly. However, Emily was still upset with me, saying I embarrassed her in front of her friends and that I should have just let it go. When we got back home, Emily told our mutual friends what happened, and now some of them think I was being unreasonable and cheap. Others think I had a point and that Emily should have asked before inviting her friends to stay. Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend and her friends to split the hotel cost after they crashed our romantic getaway?
Story number 3. Am I the asshole for telling my kid's stepmother that she is just their stepmother and my kids aren't hers? My 50 female 10 and 13-year-old children are at their dad's 50 to male for the summer. We divorced 10 years ago and he remarried almost immediately. She was the affair. After some counseling, we co-parent pretty well most of the time, but my ex's wife 32 female, I'll call her Becky, is just a bit too much. I really tried to like her, but she talks a lot, is very opinionated, and has a tendency to interfere with our parenting agreements. She caused delays in pickup times and phone calls by hiding their phone. She's tried to get them to refer to her as mom. And last week, she took them to a theme park that my husband and I had already made plans and bought the tickets to take them to when we came down next week to visit. Their dad was unaware that she was planning it, as he was out of town on business that day. 2 days ago, my son called to ask me some personal questions as they wanted to look up my family history on an ancestry site. I told him to wait and we would do that together when he came home. I had signed up for a genealogy site a few months ago to help my mom. I signed in today and found 2 family matches in the town that my ex lives in. Becky did exactly what I asked her not to do. We had previously discussed social media and computer access, and I was very explicit that I didn't want my kids' info out there. When I called her, at first, she denied it, but after I pressed, she admitted that she did and didn't think it was a big deal. It is to me. 1, my wishes were completely ignored. 2, there are things in my family's past that, while I am not a part of and it can't be changed, I feel like I should have had the chance to prepare them for, with the nuance it deserves. My great-grandfather was not a good person. I really blew up and told her that she is only their stepmother. They are not her children, and she has no right to stick her nose into our affairs. I know I said some pretty vicious things that truly escaped me, but I couldn't really care less. Of course, she cried to my ex, who called me and yelled at me for upsetting Becky. I told him that I was not going to deal with her anymore, that all communication will only be between him and me, and to have the kids' stuff packed up and ready to go home when we came next week, as they will not be back for a while. Our visitation schedule is very flexible, but I am the primary parent and I have the final say. My ex said that I was being stupid and overdramatic. My kids are upset that Becky is upset and are telling me that I am being unnecessarily mean. My husband is rightfully staying out of it, but has said I should let it go, as she's just too dumb to understand what she did. Am I the asshole? Let me know down in the comment below on how you would handle it. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.